Hi everyone, I'm going to do a refutation on the psychopathic douchebag that is Michael Savage. This is an audio clip taken from YouTube called Savage Takes a Socialist Loser Caller. Obviously the user is unbiased here. Okay, so let's go ahead with the clip.
Houston, Texas. Brian, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, intelligent, rational socialism, if done right, can get us out of the hole.
All right. Now, what do you mean, Cuban-style socialism?
Here we see Michael Savage using or utilising the intellectually dishonest form of argument. Obviously the slippery slope argument, which basically, you know, an analogy of this would be if someone smoked marijuana once in their life, they are certain to turn into a heroin addict and thus will end up resorting to crime. That turns into murder, murder turns into mass, blah 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 blah. It is utterly bloody ridiculous.
No violence, none of that.
This guy seems not to actually recognise what Michael Savage is doing, and he's basically digging himself into a hole by not realising Michael Savage is being intellectually dishonest. He's trying to defend socialism when there is nothing to defend about this, because Michael Savage has taken the worst case scenario and is trying to use that as a generalisation for the entire argument.
People with like $58 billion, $60 billion. First of all, you don't need that much money.
That is a fair point. I mean, when there are people starving to death in the third world, no one needs 58, million, billion, whatever. It is just ridiculous that people actually feel the need to have that much money when there are people that they're starving to death.
You don't need it. We should have a cap. Nobody can have more than $30 million.
Why? Because you're the kind of man who could never have more than $30,000. I can tell by your approach to this that you're a man who'll never make more than probably.
Here we go, another ad hominem attack in which Michael Savage substitutes genuine arguments, logical, constructed arguments for just personal attacks, and this is ridiculous. In reality, Michael Savage is probably weighing up this guy's accent, the sound that the sound of his voice which implies that he may possibly be black. This is absolutely absurd. This guy is making a valid point, and Michael Savage is just trying to smother him in insults.
I don't think you'll save $5,000 in your life. Why should a man not have what he can earn?
Michael Savage here is referring to as well the American dream, and many have called this the myth of meritocracy. Take, for example, a businessman and a labourer. A labourer goes out, wakes up at maybe 5:30 in the morning, works hours and hours all through the day, and earns an absolute minute fraction of what a businessman would go out and do the same amount of strenuous, more mental work. Now, the businessman owns much more than the labourer, because the businessman was born with certain faculties the labourer wasn't born with. So, under Michael Savage's logic, you're not earning your money. You are using faculties you have been born with to have an unfair advantage over other people and exploiting them.
I mean, if he steals it, it's one thing, but if he earns it, why shouldn't he have what he earns?
Why shouldn't he have what he earns, or why shouldn't someone get what they earn? That is a very valid point, actually, when there are people going out, breaking their backs, working all day and earning a pittance. Maybe this guy should look at his own arguments and actually reason with himself instead of showering other people with personal attacks when they try and criticise his logic.
Nobody needs $58 billion.
No, who are you to tell somebody what they need? According to you, they don't need a new car. You could say they don't need a new car, they could drive it on.
According to you, this guy that rung in said nothing about not needing a new car. What Michael Savage is doing is taking a macro point and applying it to microscopic aspects of personal life and trying to find flaws in it, which is just, again, intellectually dishonest. He's trying to run this guy round in circles.
Old car. But what if they like a new car?
Greed. If you get rid of the...
Well, what you say is greed is the other man's success.
What you say is greed is the other man's success. Again, another ridiculous point on the part of Michael Savage. I would say that Greed is perhaps a little too hasty for a term to use, but the inequality of wages and the inequality of wealth, especially in America and in the UK as well, is utterly disgusting. No one earns billions of dollars or even millions of dollars while other people are doing the same amount of work with the faculties they were born with on the minimum wage, living off a pittance.
If a man works very hard and he makes a lot of money and he wants to buy a boat, and the boat is bigger than your boat...
Notice the concept of working hard and earning money as being separate.
Does that mean he's greedy, or does that mean he wants a bigger boat?
But see, that could just go on and on. You know, this guy get a big...
So I'm asking you, so how big a boat should a man be allowed to buy? Let me ask you, since you say there should be limits on everything.
Michael Savage is being pedantic here. He's utterly blown this out of proportion, and the guy didn't say there should be limits on everything at all. Again, he's being intellectually dishonest.
So a man should not be able to buy a boat over what length?
You can buy whatever you want.
No, what he's doing is, again, taking this caller into a level of knowledge that this caller obviously most likely isn't comfortable with, which is boat lengths and specifications of private boats. This is just ridiculous. This isn't open public discussion. This is a guy on a radio station shouting someone in personal insults, running them round in circles, and then getting into hysterical rants.
You want to buy as long as you got $30 million, that's all you can have. And nobody's net worth could be more.
And who should get the rest of it? You should get the rest of it for hearing aid batteries?
Again, another personal insult. Michael Savage knows nothing about this gentleman. For all Michael Savage knows, he could be an extremely high earner.
No, if you take that money, I'm pretty sure that'll be trillions of dollars that you can pay off the debt that we have.
So you, in other words, you want to steal money from people who earned it and give it to people who didn't earn it, is that it?
Again, here's another ridiculous fallacy of most uneducated, ignorant bigots, which is that socialism... In fact, Margaret Thatcher said the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. This is utterly ridiculous, and anyone who says this obviously has a fundamental lack of knowledge in basic principles of Marxism and socialism. Now, Lenin, I can't remember the exact quote, but he basically said, if you don't earn your bread, you don't deserve it. So, socialism doesn't seek to reward those who don't work. In fact, socialism seeks to reward those who do work and earn a horrendously low amount compared to those who, because they're white, middle class and wear a suit, earn much more than them.
No, it's just eliminating greed.
What makes you assume that any man who has a fortune is greedy? Why do you...
Because he sits there with his over $30 million in his ivory tower, watching other people struggling to pay their mortgages, knowing that the money he's got is exploiting, has been sucked out of their wages, knowing he is exploiting people around the world, and so he can make money. There are people in third world countries living on less than $2 a day. In fact, 50% of the population of the globe live on under $2 a day.
You assume that any man or any woman who earned a great deal of money did it illegally or greedily? What makes you assume that?
This caller said nothing about earning money illegally.
It's not really that. It's just hoarding up. Just hoarding up. It could be food, it could be money, it could be land. It's just the hoarding. No.
So in other words, you believe in the Zimbabwe approach of Mugabe, we should take land away from landowners too?
Another example of the intellectually dishonest and actually pseudo-intellectual slippery slope argument being applied here, which has no relevance to the discussion or the caller's point whatsoever.
You don't need it?
Well,
what if a person owns a house, an apartment, and a country house? If you were the czar, would you take away any of their property?
Again, this is more intellectual dishonesty. Now, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to tie this up. That's basically the end of the clip anyway. So, thanks for listening, and don't listen to this douchebag.